after this.
Sorry, Raj, do you mind to start the recording? Okay, you already did it. Thank you.
Okay, great. So again, this is the Omnichannel Engagement Hub overview. Just a bit of background about myself. I'm a D365 pre-sale solutions consultant from DXC Technology. If you are interested, as Raz mentioned, about omni-channel, customer insights, customer service insights, any of the insights features really, as well as omni-channel, then please follow me on Twitter, on LinkedIn. I do have a blog where I do blog about these topics as well. So feel free to refer to that as well. And use the hashtag if you're tweeting about this session, hashtag 365Saturday. I'll be happy to see that. So let's begin. We're going to go through a general introduction of Omnichannel. We're going to talk about the chat channel and the SMS channel, which are two of the main channels that I see. Obviously, there is also a voice channel and other channels that I'll be mentioning, but the two that I'll be demoing are going to be chat and SMS. We're also going to go into some of the reporting functionality that's also available, touching on licensing and some of the, well, not really upcoming features, some of the features that are currently now out as part of the April release. If you've got any questions during the demo, please take yourself off mute. Please ask during the session. I still like a collaborative discussion, even though I can't really see you. It helps to know that you're actually out there, you know? Cool. So let's start off. A little bit about me. Yes, this is me. I was 18 years old. I basically put myself through university with obviously the lovely assistance of my parents by working at a call center. I worked in a banking call center as a sales associate. And my main aim there was to provide first-time resolution to callers. So basically, I'll tell you your balance whilst I then try to sell you a balance transfer or a loan. So I do have some history with call center solutions. But whilst I was working at that call center, I did obviously have to deal with a couple of things, you know. First of all, it was in the middle of nowhere. So you had to actually go to the site to work. If you're not mobile, you just could not work that day. And then also, when you're actually working at a call center, I'm not sure if anyone's actually worked there, but they always have so many different systems that they use, and each of the systems kind of do something totally different. Like there's one system that would track your balances and another system that I have to refer to see the documentation that was sent out to you, and then another system that was actually like your phone system. Right? So if you had a question, I have to refer to all these different systems just to answer that question. And also on top of that, you're expected to keep them all updated. So at the end of the call, you have to add your notes into each of these systems. Now, this obviously affected our KPIs, right? Because every agent or team had a different KPI that they had to adhere to. But if you're dealing with all these different systems, it adds time. And it adds complexity because if one of the systems were down, then you have to work with the other ones and you just have to do the best. You had to do the best that you could do, which was great fun. The other thing as well is there was a lot of people coming and going, and that meant that we had to keep training new people coming in. So they keep putting their customer on hold. And when they put their customer on hold, one, it's not the best customer experience, because if you're a customer and you want someone with a particular level of knowledge, being consistently put on hold is not a great experience, right? So that's another thing. That was another challenge that obviously I faced when I was working at a call center. And then finally, the last challenge that I had whilst working there was mainly all around how we could kind of how we could actually support our new staff without, actually, no, I did talk about training. So yeah, let's move on. So those are the different challenges that we actually faced. So why am I talking about that? It's really because when I left university and I kind of came into my professional years, one of my first roles was actually implementing a system called USD. Now I know if you've been on the call before, Neil Parkhurst did his session on USD, and implementing USD was actually one of my first CRM projects. So I was extremely like chuffed because I had this experience, and it was really cool. And USD was really cool because I could see the progression between what I did working at a call center to how USD would actually help. USD, basically Unified Service Desk, sorry, brought the ability to kind of streamline the process, bring all the different discrete applications together so I'm not popping out all the time to service my customer, which basically allowed my KPIs to increase, or allowed the KPIs of a call center agent to not increase but decrease in terms of your call handling time and your call wrap-up time, right? And with that, it also allowed me to utilize standard case management functionality in one place, for example, my knowledge articles and my agent scripts, right? So again, this is now dealing with, I don't know what to do. What do I need to do? What can I say? The agent is better equipped to deal with those issues. Now, but USD doesn't really solve the issue that I mentioned with regards to lack of mobility and remote working, because as an agent, you're not really able to work if you can't get on site. And this is where Omnichannel comes in, right? So Omnichannel and Engagement Hub is a cloud-based call center solution that allows me to leverage multiple channels, and also leverage other standard functionality that is also available within Unified Service Desk, such as my agent scripts, and also leverages functionality that is available within standard case management, standard customer service, such as case management or your knowledge articles, or even your standard business process, which could define your internal business process as a company. Okay, now, just like Unified Service Desk, we can actually route chats based upon skills. So as a chat comes in or as a conversation comes in, you can actually route it based upon this, the skills are needed to deal with that issue. Now, unlike Unified Service Desk, Omnichannel has standard channels that's available. So for example, a standard channel would be your chat. You'd have also a Facebook and also integration with Microsoft Teams. Now, all of these would come in as native channels to Omnichannel, whereas previously they would have to be utilized via an ISV or an external partner or another partner. But you also have the ability to leverage other channels such as SMS or WeChat or web chat. And therefore, it doesn't really matter the channel that the conversation comes in from. It's going to be routed. It's going to go to an agent who can resolve the issue, and that agent will have a seamless and uniform experience to resolve your issue, which not only helps with training because you're only training one process, but it also helps to reduce the KPI or improve the KPI rather that agent has. Okay, so that's basically what Omnichannel is and some of the benefits that Omnichannel has. So just to go through some of the differences, if we start off from D365 Customer Service, D365 Customer Service is a D365 module that's really for like a single session. So it's me dealing with a case. Obviously, you have the ability to automatically create cases when an email is sent to a queue, and you can deal with that in that channel. Then you've also got Unified Service Desk. Now, Unified Service Desk is great because if you have like more complicated processes, you can build on top of that, right? Because it's actually, you have to install it onto your machine, and it's something that you can easily extend based upon the business requirements. Omnichannel, however, Omnichannel is more for if you need multiple channels and multiple sessions. It is not as easily extensible as Unified Service Desk, but it is extremely configurable. So you can actually almost get everything that you need So if you have more complicated scenarios, you're going to be looking between Unified Service Desk and Omnichannel. And if you can't make Omnichannel work, you're going to need to move on to the Unified Service Desk. Okay. Now, what I want to do is I want to take you through what you can actually do using the chat channel within Omnichannel Engagement Hub. Okay. So that's my first demo. Any questions so far? I'm going to assume not. Okay. So let's start off. Now in this demo, what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk us through trying to service myself. Now, obviously, if I have a problem, my main thing is I always want to fix it myself. That's the first thing I do. I don't like reaching out for help. I try to resolve it myself. And this is, I think, a lot of people. Right? So it's quite important that companies nowadays have the ability to self-serve. Either by using knowledge articles or Power Virtual Agent bots that will mean that I can kind of be empowered as a user to resolve my own issue. Now, if I can't, then for the companies, in the company's best interest, providing a chatbot that would attempt to resolve my issue or give me the information as a customer that I need without impacting my human agents would be beneficial, because it reduces the amount of conversations that your human agents will have to deal with. Because let's face it, a human agent can only deal with so many conversations, right? A bot can deal with a lot more. So you're going to have a better, a much more higher return on your investment, so to speak, right? And also better customer service, because let's face it, the bot will deal with the issue a lot quicker, hopefully, if it's designed right. So let's have a look. Now, I'm basically on my portal and I'm trying to locate when my collection days for waste and recycling is, but I'm not really finding it. On top of that, I know I need to probably create create a council tax or set up my council tax. So I'm going to initiate my bot now. Now, the first thing it's going to do is it's asking me here for my pre-chat questions. Again, this is configurable, right? Actually, I'm going to pause, take a step back. The design of this chat bot is we used to not be that configurable, but as from the April release, the chat widget is now configurable, and you can actually create CSS and override the functionality, override the design of the chat button and the chat widget. Okay, so that is something that you can now do. You can embed the chat button in any portal, not necessarily only Power Apps portal. Okay, so that's another thing I need to mention. But here you have the pre-chat questionnaire. The pre-chat questionnaire just allows you to define information that the agent is going to need to know in order to service the issue. It also helps with routing, because depending on why you're contacting the company, it can then route you through to the necessary queue so that agent can then better service you. So I'm going to put here, let's put Tricia Sinclair. Okay, and I'm basically I'm messaging about a council tax inquiry. Now, for GDPR purposes, what you might want to do is you might want to say, hey, this is our privacy statement. Can you read it? This is our terms and conditions. Can you read it? And then force the user to have to check it. So you can actually add mandatory checkbox values here that will force the user to opt in or specify that, yes, I'm happy for GDPR purposes, or I've read the terms and conditions, etc., in order for them to proceed. Now, when I press submit, another option that we've got is we can now integrate Power Virtual Agents with Omnichannel Engagement Hub. So the first thing that the user will get is that agent bot, that Power Virtual Agent bot. Now, I do think that there is another session coming up about PVA, so I'm not really going to go into the details about it, but this is really just to show how this is going to basically interact with the Omnichannel Engagement Hub. I mentioned that I'm going to be using council tax, or I need to set up my council tax. So I'll go ahead and select that option. Now I can continue going through this. And ideally, the situation is that the PVA, the bot, should resolve my issue. So I could have actually built this out for this to actually create my record and set me up and let me know and send me on my way. So it deflects the chat and my agent is free to deal with a more complicated issue. But no, in this demo, I want to basically be escalated to an agent. So I'm going to press no, and then what you'll see is we'll be right with you. Now, for standard omni-channel, you actually will get another message, and that's because messages in omni-channel are now also configurable. I can specify a custom message when an agent has joined, when it's been rerouted or transferred, or the conversation is ended. Okay, another thing that you can do is you can actually leverage the notifications, desktop notifications, which did not work on my environment today because I think I specified something wrong. But if you wanted to know how to set that up, I do have a blog on that and all the different tips and techniques and what to look out for to get that set up. So here you can actually see that I've got my chat coming through to my my omni-channel engagement hub, and you've got the chat reason. Now this chat reason is because I specified council tax in my Power Virtual Agent bot. You can also have the chat reason coming in from your pre-chat question. It's effectively, it's literally, you can add information to the notification to allow the agent to understand what the chat's about, right? So if I accept, it's going to open up into a new session. Now remember, Omni-Channel Engagement Hub is a multi-session, multi-tab experience, which means I can actually be on multiple conversations. I could be on a chat, I could have a Facebook chat, an SMS chat, a voice call if should I need to, and it will all be visible here. Not only that is I initiated the conversation using Power Virtual Agent. The agent is able to see all the history of what actually happened, and I can pass through from Power Virtual Agent an internal chat to the agent to give them an overview of what happened, right? So I know it's a council tax application, they're a sole occupier, okay? So I know, okay, they want to set it up, that's fine, we can do that. Not only can I see the history of what happened, but I can actually route specific agent guidance. So this agent guidance is basically your agent script, right? And you can have different agent script depending on the information associated with the contact. So if this contact was a VIP, then I might want a different script than if it was just a standard SLA customer. Or they might be, because they're calling about the council tax, I've actually got an agent script that defaults to be showing me what I need to talk about for a council tax inquiry. Okay, so here you can actually specify I need to welcome the customer. So I can utilize what's known as a quick reply. Now, a quick reply is really a short code where it can I can just type out a code and it will filter a list to allow me to quickly send that through to the agent. Now, bear in mind, you probably don't want to have a lot of quick replies because it's going to have to filter it. And also, what that's done is basically remove the need for me to have to sit down typing, hello, you're chatting with, etc., etc. And it also allows you to standardize your responses as a company, right? So everyone is saying the same thing and singing from the same hymn sheet. Now, once I've finished that part of my call script, I can just check this button here, and that indicates that I've finished that. It flags that as complete. Now, if I wanted to verify my customer, now I know that Neil Parkhurst has a really, really cool validation app, like a custom app, like a Canvas app that you can embed within Unified Service Desk as part of his accelerator. You can do something very similar inside of Omni-Channel Engagement Hub using what's known, using agent scripts and what's also known as slugs. Slugs basically pulls information in from other areas of common data service, right? So if I click on this, it takes me to that agent script where I can now leverage the slugs, and it transforms it into the actual value that's in that field that I said I wanted to pull it from. So I can confirm the customer's date of birth, for example. I can confirm the address, right? And if anything changed, I can then move on to edit that information. I could have actually added a button back to my council tax inquiry, but if I wanted to. Now, obviously, this is based on top of Dynamics 365 customer service, and because of that, this screen should look quite familiar, and that's because it is actually a CRM form. It's customizable. So if I needed additional information on this form, I can change what's shown here. I can add additional sections or fields, etc. Okay. Now, the reason I actually went and tried to do my looking into the knowledge article to see what I can resolve or identify in terms of when my bins were collecting is because I wanted to come in here and show you that as the user is browsing your web page, what you can do is you can set up what's known as navigation notifications. So when the user comes through, the customer comes through to the agent is then able to see the different pages that was visited, right? So if I click on it, it will take me as the agent through to that knowledge article that the customer went to. Okay, so I don't have to then repeat myself, and the customer doesn't have to say, I've already tried that, because I know you've looked at it. Or it could actually be that you misunderstood something, but I'm much better equipped to answer that issue because I know where you went and what you were doing on the site. Okay. The other thing that I'll need to do, obviously, as part of this issue is I need to create a case. Now, when I create a case, again, this is pulling information in from the different areas of my conversation and from the common data service to pre-populate the case. So it lessens the amount of work that I need to do as an agent. So here, I can see the reason, and I can now minimize this and save some screen space. The reason that I'm calling is about council tax. Again, bringing this in from my Power Virtual agent and the reason that it said that you needed to speak to me in the first place. Pulling in the contact type from the employee, so I know that actually this employee probably works for us. So, sorry, this contact probably works for us, so that's fine. Associating the customer, the origin I need to change, that's a bug on my side, but the description is actually pulling it in from what's been sent through. Anyone have a question? Or can you put yourself on mute if you're not asking a question? Okay, great. So this is pulling it through from the description that's been passed through from the Power Virtual agent. So all I need to then do is press save, and then this leaves me free to leverage the standard functionality available within the D365 customer service piece. So for example, if I wanted to leverage knowledge articles or even similar cases, etc. Okay, another really useful thing is if I'm typing in, because I need some more information, like when is my bin collection? Okay. What I'm expecting is, this always happens. Okay, what I'm expecting is Omnichannel to provide some guidance for me. Okay, so let's try that again. Okay, that worked. Okay, so what I'm expecting is Omnichannel to come up and provide some guidance. So if I, as an agent or the customer, mentions something, what this is doing, this is going off in the background, and it's going to generate relationship cards, adaptive cards, that's then surfaced up to the agent and allow them to pretty much reuse macros. Now, this is the same kind of functionality that I showed here, where I had create case. I could click on create appointment. It will be pre-populated, and I will just press save. Again, helping your KPIs and reducing the number of clicks that I, as an agent, would need to do. Okay. Now, if you have a look at this screen, so let's minimize this as well, and just minimize that. So we have this there. So what, like working on the Omni channel, you can actually have the multi-tabbed experience. Now, what I mean about a multi-tabbed experience is, remember at the start where I said I worked in call centers and you had different applications. Now with Unified Service Desk, you can bring all those different applications into one area, so you can then just tab through as opposed to going to the different applications. You can do the same thing with Omnichannel. Now, the difference between the two is with Unified Service Desk, you can bring in applications that are hosted on premise, whereas Omnichannel, you need the application to be hosted in the cloud or web-based. Okay, so here you can actually see that I've basically brought in Bing, and I can actually pass through queries, use query parameters that will then allow me to either do like searches, or even if you had an external knowledge base, you can bring that in and pre-search through that list by using that query. Or you can actually even use web resources and bring them in, bring them into the tab here. Or if you had an intranet, you can actually have that here as well. Okay, so just some examples or some ideas of what you can actually do. So let me see, there was one other thing that I wanted to show. So what I'm going to show is kind of, if you've kind of annoyed your customer, what does that actually look like? So I'm just going to say I'm upset. Now, there are two things that will happen, and I'll show you one. Now, having a look here, remember here it was kind of just like a purple logo. Now, if you had multiple sessions, then what would happen is that this would then flag up to specify that your attention is needed in this conversation. If I was logged in as a supervisor, the supervisor also gets a notification to specify that, hey, there's a chat that needs your attention, and that supervisor would then be able to click on that chat to then go and monitor your conversation, to provide guidance, to, try to turn that conversation back around. So if I then say, no, very happy for this, it then should go back to normal. Okay, so here you can actually see the sentiment is slightly positive. Cool. Awesome. So let's just recap on the different features that we just demonstrated to you. So we just demonstrated the notification template. So we had the Power Virtual Agent escalating the chat, and that chat being that agent being able to see the reason why the chat is coming through, being council tax. That template is known as a notification template and can be amended based upon the channel that you're actually receiving that notification for. Against the notification template, you can also specify if you want to receive desktop alerts or desktop notifications or not. You might just want them to receive that notification just inside of the app itself. Now, what demonstrated was the reactive chat. Now, the reactive chat is pretty much where I, as a customer, am going to you, but you can also have proactive chat, which is where I'm specifying, hey, I'm going back and forth multiple times because I'm not sure about this information, I'm not sure what to do, or I might actually be stuck on a particular screen for a long time, or I might have even entered something incorrectly a number of times. Effectively, no matter the reason you might want to then offer a chat to someone, you could configure it. Now, you do need JavaScript in order to configure that proactive chat, but that allows you to kind of play around with your scenarios and then specify when that chat pops up. Okay, but once it does come up, you can then still take advantage of all the same features that you will have in reactive chat, such as your pre-chat questionnaire or your Power Virtual Agent. Now, transcripts. Once you've ended the chat, what you're able to then do is offer transcripts to the customer to specify, hey, do you want a transcript? And then it can be sent off to the customer as an email. Or the transcripts can be saved inside of Dynamics, and then you can retrospectively send it. We talked about the chat button design and how initially you couldn't really do much with it. You could change the image, you could change the image, and you could change the color. But now you can actually overwrite that whole design with CSS, or even build your own button. And then after you've built your own button, just reuse the same functionality as standard, just by associating it with the omnichannel widget. We also demonstrated Smart Assist, which is where you've got a bot in the background that's listing out for words that you're typing in the chat window from yourself and the customer. And then it's going to try to attempt to offer you advice based upon that. And this advice is really there to kind of assist the agent. So, you know, in the initial bit, in terms of the challenges, you've got training and also KPIs. So you've got a new member of staff that isn't just needs a little bit of extra support. Smart Assist will go a long way to kind of add, just giving that additional support that could be needed, right? On top of that, because it kind of cuts down the amount of work that they're going to need to do, the amount of things that they need to type, it will reduce or improve their KPI. Application templates. Now, I showed application templates in terms of the different tabs that you could have, and that could be customized based upon the channel that the conversation is coming in from. So I could automatically have different tabs based on the channel coming in. So I could have like I demonstrated my knowledge article, my knowledge base for my chat. If I was coming in from a Facebook, I could have perhaps Bing as a tab instead. It's all customizable. Okay, so the only two things that you would need code for is your proactive chat and your Smart Assist. Everything else you can actually just customize and implement. So in terms of a difference between Live Assist and Omnichannel, because obviously if you're using chat now, chances are you're using Live Assist or CafeX. This list just contains the features that Live Assist has compared with the features that Omnichannel engagement has. Okay, so obviously the only two differences right now is that with regards to surveys, there's only the pre-chat survey that's available within the Omnichannel Engagement Hub. I kind of highly suspect that post-chat surveys will probably be coming in the future, but that's a pure speculation. Chatbot integration with Live Assist, you don't necessarily only need to use the Azure Bot framework, whereas with Omnichannel Engagement Hub, any chatbot that you implement must be based on the Azure Bot framework. Luckily, Power Virtual Agent is based on the Azure Bot framework, and therefore you can leverage that. Okay. So let's now go into the SMS channel. I will need audience participation. I need one person to message me and then tell me that they've done it, please. Thank you. Any volunteers?
Any excuse to message you is good.
Any volunteers?
Australia.
So anyone messaging?
I'm doing it now.
Awesome, thank you so much. Have you done it? Okay, so just in the interest of time, I'll send a message. Okay, so I've just sent myself a message.
Should that be a +44?
Ah, perfect. Okay, great. Cool. So thank you. Okay, a couple of messages coming through, but you can see it works. Great. Wow, thanks. Now they're all coming through. Awesome. Now my capacity, each agent is assigned a particular capacity. And because it's assigned a capacity, what's then going to happen is my capacity is now being taken. And therefore, I won't get all the chats. I'll just get chats that meet within that set capacity that I've got, right? Now, as you can see, I don't have these numbers in my environment. However, if I did, what Omnichannel will then do is associate it and pre-select my customer for me. Okay, so again, it reduces the need for me to then go off and search for that customer, but I could if I wanted to. From here, same screen as you had with the chat, I can then go on and search for my customer. Okay, I also have the additional details with regards to the channel that it came in on and the queue that it's basically assigned to. And what I've done is I've associated my chat number to this queue. So the idea is for each service that you provide, you might have a chat number, you might have a different SMS number. Okay. And it works back to forth. Now there used to be just one ISV that you could integrate the SMS with, and that was Telesign. So this SMS is configured with Telesign. However, in the April release, Twilio also came aboard. So now Twilio offers not only the SMS channel, which is where we are, but you can also leverage WhatsApp capability, business for WhatsApp or WhatsApp for business through Twilio as well. Okay, there are other ISVs that are coming aboard, but those are the two that are currently available to be configured within Omnichannel. A very similar experience to what we had within chat, where we can actually send out the quick message. So if I just did hello and waited 5 minutes. Right, then that basically is the same. It's the same experience as chat. Again, bringing that into, hey, I don't need to, remember a whole bunch of information, especially, with the direct debit guarantee, which is a long piece of text where you'd have to either sit down and either remember it. I used to remember it off by heart, but I don't anymore. Or you'd have to then copy and paste it in. It basically could be a canned response. Okay, I can leverage my customer validation here. I can actually quickly create a new contact because I don't have this contact in my database. I could actually go straight to the contact information or the contact screen and create a contact and then leverage that information to then create my case. Okay, the same thing, can someone be really upset and just say, I'm upset, like one of these numbers, just message saying, I'm really upset. The same thing will apply. Sentiment will then identify that there is an upset customer. There's a conversation that I need to look into. So this customer is really upset. Let's go and address that. I'm really sorry you're upset. Okay. And oh, wow, I have so many upset customers. Okay, now can you be positive for me, please? Thank you. But then that changes it. Do you see? So it's more, I know which conversations needs my attention. I can also see the number of messages that are coming through. Now, I did also mention the application tab and how that could differ based upon the channel that's coming in. Now, the previous channel, I didn't have my schedule board, but through the SMS channel, I'm actually leveraging my schedule board and I'm bringing in the schedule board available within D365 field service into SMS because I wanted to have the ability, if this would load, sorry, there's a problem with my speed on my network, but that would actually load the standard customer service, standard field service or customer service schedule board, and allow me to kind of take a full journey from creating that case, scheduling that case, and then ending that case, right? So is there anything else I wanted to demonstrate here? I think that was it. So just to tie up the SMS functionality, the main thing is it's super simple to set up. I mean, it's mainly setting up your numbers through one of these providers and then going into omni-channel and just configuring that new channel. The information and how to set up is available on the Microsoft Docs site, but it's not complicated, and that's the beauty about omni-channel. It's mainly configuration. So you think it would be like a lot of code and a lot of time, but it's really not. Okay, so there aren't really many tips or gotchas apart from the fact that you can't leverage Power Virtual Agent, unfortunately, with SMS. Another thing as well, though, I should mention, is that the conversation does remain open for a period of time. So the person, I can't initiate it, but if the customer initiated that conversation, then it will be left open until a set period of time that's configured within Omni-channel, and then after that, it then becomes a new conversation. Okay. So the last thing that I want to demonstrate is the supervisor experience. Let's go into the supervisor experience. So as a supervisor, which I forgot to open up, but I will go from here. As a supervisor, I have the ability to do several things. I can access what's known as the ongoing conversation dashboard to see all the different conversations that are ongoing and also which agents that those conversations are currently with. I can also view the status of those agents as well, okay? If I had any conversations that were not assigned, I could select it and then assign those conversations to someone, to another agent. Now, when I assign that conversation, it doesn't really matter if they're over capacity or not, it will assign it to them. So there is a risk that you could go over capacity using this, okay? But it's really just to make sure that all your customers are being dealt with. Now, it could also allow you to identify your sentiment. Now, I can't click on monitor here simply because it's already assigned to me. But if it was assigned to someone else, when I clicked on this message and clicked on monitor, it would take me to that conversation. The same screen, a very similar screen to what I have on the agent dashboard, would open up and allow me to see what's been said or what is being said and participate in the background. If I wanted to join in, I could change my tab to be internal. Okay, so that's what I could do. There is another report that's available, and unfortunately, I haven't got it set up on this environment, but that report is so important because with that report, you know how I can see the statuses here? I can't change the status, but with that report, I can actually change the status of my agents. So if someone accidentally left themselves unavailable and they've gone on break, I can change them to be from active to on break. So then that means that they don't get new conversations or chats. Okay. Now, the next thing, because I'm just looking at time, what I want to demonstrate is customer service insights. So the reason I want to demonstrate customer service insights, I'm not really going to go into it too much, but it's really just to tie everything back together. And I know there is another demonstration or session about customer service insights later on today, if you are interested in seeing this in more detail and understanding the different KPIs that are available. But the reason I wanted to basically draw this back in is because remember, we started at the front with knowledge articles, and the aim was for that customer to be able to provide service for themselves, because as part of a customer service journey, it's not only just being able to provide multiple channels, it's about that customer experience. It doesn't mean anything if I can access a company from Facebook or Twitter or whatever. It doesn't matter if the service that I get is rubbish, and if I can't provide that service for myself, right? And this is basically what customer service insights is allowing me to do. It's going to identify areas that customers are reaching out for help with, and also identify if that's basically being improved or not. So if it can identify trending topics and topics that are impacting my customer service satisfaction levels or my customer satisfaction levels. Okay, we can identify peak times as to when topics are most popular, and then from that, to improve the experience, I can automate these topics. Now, automating these topics kind of just means that you might want to consider either creating knowledge articles for these topics, or my personal favorite, bringing this right back into Power Virtual Agent. And yes, for some reason, as I mentioned, my browser is a bit slow right now. There's a lot going on, but that board would have loaded up. But really, the story is about taking us back to Power Virtual Agent to automate that process. So we've taken it from using Power Apps portals, or any portal really, to go through and identify knowledge articles, being unable to locate what I wanted, going onto my chat, interacting with the Power Virtual Agent, escalating it to that agent. The agent can actually see the information that I used in Power Virtual Agent, and then using different features such as Smart Assist and knowledge articles to try to support that issue, macros to also reduce the amount of work that I would have needed to do, and then being able to close that case. When I've closed that case, that's now forming a part of the insights being used in customer service insights, and now allowing me to further improve my experience with Power Virtual Agent. Okay, so that's basically where customer service insights fit into that journey. Another thing as well, before I move off, is if I go back to customer service insights, it's this really, really cool thing here called Call Insights. Now, Call Insights is not new. Call Insights is already in general availability for sales insights, right? But for customer service, it's in preview. But what this allows you to do is to provide even more coaching for agents that might be on the phone, right? Improve their conversation styles, ensure that they're listening to customers, ensuring that customers, whilst they're on the call, that their sentiment is positive, right? So here you can actually see the sentiment of the conversations that agents are having, their listening type, their listening speak, but also, if I go to this tab, you can actually then get transcripts, historical transcripts of the conversation via call history. Now, this does use Azure. This does use Azure in order to, you need to store the call recording, or not necessarily store it, but it does need to pass through the Azure cloud to be analyzed. But you don't need to keep it in Azure, but it does need to be routed through to there. But if I click on this, what you can see is the sentiment as well as the conversation transcript. And this is something, again, already available in Sales Insights. It's not strictly new technology, but it is now being brought onto Customer Service Insights. And again, is going to improve the customer service experience exponentially. Okay, so let's tie this all back together. Now, the reports. There are also 2 reports that are available, but those reports really show, those reports kind of really show what I mentioned before in terms of the different KPIs, quite similar to customer service, quite similar to customer service insights, but it's showing the sentiment, the overview of the sentiment, and it's also showing the KPIs associated to the different agents, and also the different KPIs, for example, average handling time and average wrap-up time, etc. Now, to talk about licensing, I do have them all in US, because at the time that I wrote this slide, they were only available in US. However, now if you go onto the UK portal, if you are from the UK, you will get them also in pounds as well. You do need customer service enterprise, right, in order to leverage omnichannel. So that comes up to $95 per user per month. So you have to have that. Then you have the option of either chat or digital. If you have just chat, then that just gives you the chat functionality. However, not sure if I mentioned, but you've got so many different channels available: Teams, SMS, Facebook, WeChat, web chat, Line, etc. And those are all available through the digital messaging add-on, right? So a user could have either chat or they could have all. And then if you wanted to leverage the Power BI Pro, the reports that come as standard, you will also then need a Power BI Pro license. Now, Customer Service Insights does not form a part of the Power BI Pro license. That's actually included in your Customer Service Enterprise license. If you've already got Customer Service Enterprise, you can already leverage the Customer Service Insights functionality that I just demonstrated. Okay, so the new features that we had in the April release that I unfortunately didn't demonstrate here, but they are available and will work very similar to what I've demonstrated, is Twitter, WeChat, WhatsApp, Line, Microsoft Teams. Microsoft Teams will be so useful. For example, the scenario of an internal engineer that goes out and they might have used the field service mobile remote assist to now call back your internal support team. That will then be routed through to Omnichannel via Microsoft Teams. Okay, you can also escalate to a video or a voice from chat. The beauty about this is you don't need to set up Twilio, you don't need to set up Telesign, you don't need to set up a video or voice provider because it's actually done through the browser. So there's actually no setup needed here. You just specify that I want to use this functionality and it's set up for you. You can also use co-browse. Now, there are different ISVs that are working to do this, one of them being ScreenMeet, another being LogMeIn, but you can leverage those functionality to then provide co-browse functionality within, or leverage those ISVs to take advantage of the co-browse functionality in Omnichannel. And then also remote assist, again, being provided by either ScreenMeet or LogMeIn. I do have a blog that explains how to set up co-browse and remote assist using ScreenMeet. So if you were interested in doing that, you could actually refer to my blog and it will walk you through those steps and also show a video of it. To recap in full, what we demonstrated were the full suite, or what we talked about was the full suite of Omnichannel channels that are available, but we demonstrated the SMS channel and also the chat channel. We talked about the pre-chat questionnaire and how that could be used to route chats through to the appropriate queue, and also how that could allow agents to understand more about what's needed in that chat. Power Virtual Agents, we talked about how that could be useful to deflect chats to save time for the agents, and also to provide additional information to agents should they need to be escalated or should the chat need to be escalated to an actual agent. We talked about how customizable the whole experience are. And I mean, I can't stress that more. Omnichannel is a customizable low-code call center solution, right? You can extend it further with code, but a bulk of the functionality that I demonstrated is all customizable, is all configured rather. I only used code for 2 features, which was Smart Assist and also Proactive Chat, which I didn't demonstrate, but those are the only 2 features that have code in it, right? We also have Quick Reply, which I demonstrated to kind of bring in and improve KPIs by removing the need for me to type everything out manually, and agent scripts to kind of prompt the agent on what to say, sentiment analysis, ensuring that the agent has the ability to make sure that the customer is happy during the chat, and then also being able to see the reports that come out of it all by ensuring that, yes, I can improve on my customer experience. Smart Assist, ensuring that your users have the ability to not only utilize knowledge articles, but to get access to other information that might be in the system or external systems. And this is using the adaptive relationship cards, which is very similar to the sales insights cards that you actually get in sales. And we also demonstrated the supervisor dashboard where you can actually see ongoing conversations, monitor, and also assign chats. Now, if you do need any more information, I do recommend that there are other people blogging about Omnichannel and also customer service and unified service desk, Neil Parkhurst being the main one, and also my other colleague, the CRM Ninja, EY Kalman. So those are two people that are also blogging about this. And I also know that Sarah, the CRM Cat, has a 30-day series on Omnichannel that I would highly recommend if you're just getting started and you need to know more, that you refer to them. And I'm not saying don't refer to me. Please also use my blog, and also please ask any questions if you want to know any more information. And also the doc site is a really good area that they will add. They do keep updating that site, so definitely have check that out as well. Do we have any questions?
Thank you very much, Tricia.
Awesome.
There's currently no questions.
Cool. So I guess, you know, we're all totally cool with Omni. I know, I love it.
Yeah, that really did fill the gap with all the previous sessions. So it really did provide a really good context into where it could really fit and be positioned. Yeah, so that's right. And that's not the last of you, is it, Tricia? You're going to be following up shortly.
Yeah, in 1 hour, I'll be doing an overview of customer insights and how that could be used within the financial industry.
Yes, exactly. So that's going to be when you described it earlier, it seems like a very, you know, end-to-end explanation, and look very excited towards that. So, yeah. So without further ado, thanks again, Tricia. We will catch up with you very shortly. Thanks again for taking your time out, and we'll see you very shortly. Next up is Diana. So Diana will be discussing the new features of Dynamics Customer Engagement. So